Welcome to Chatter Tech Briefings. Here are the top 5 stories of the day. Today, meta leeching on TikTok, why amateur videos succeed, custom algorithms at X, DeepSeek R1, and how Spotify trusts AI. So without further ado, let's get into it. And as always, you can follow us either along in this podcast or video or in our app, whatever works for you. How Spotify trusts their AI. Spotify created a confidence score for their generative AI. So basically this confidence score, created through a technique called majority voting, is used to say which predictions that Spotify are making are actually good or not. So basically how much confidence you have that this is the right answer. And the way it works is they use multiple models, and each model does multiple prompts, so that with each potential prompt they're actually getting 35 different responses, and then seeing what responses came up the most frequent, and then picking the response that came up the most. So that's the logic behind a ensemble method like majority voting. And that works reasonably well because it gives you confidence that whenever something comes up, it might be the right answer or it might be a good answer. So an example would be you ask the AI if this is a bicycle or is this a football, and 35 models say it's a football, then your confidence is really high, it's a football. But if only 10 say it's a football, and 10 say it's a cat, and 10 say it's something completely different, your confidence is very low. The reason this is important is that the AI economy hinges on trust. People need to believe that whatever is provided by them from AI is the right answer. And specifically for tasks where diligence is very important, like invoices, customer records, where you don't want to make mistakes, where you don't want hallucinations, these confidence score could be a creative work to open AI up for more use cases with higher stakes. Next topic. DeepSeek R1 should make OpenAI nervous. DeepSeek R1 operates at 95% lower cost compared to OpenAI's R1 while matching its reasoning performance. With that, DeepSeek is redefining open source AI by delivering a small and cost-effective model that is still high-performing. Let me give you the good and the bad. So the good thing is that now this model is truly open source. It's MIT licensed, so it means everyone can use it. The bad thing is, well, it still has a lot of challenges with their predictions, and there's not a lot of documentation on it. So even though you know how to use it, you don't really understand how it works. Still, for me, this is really a David versus Goliath LLM version. This small Chinese startup that is incubated by a hedge fund is now making waves, producing a model that is seemingly as good as their American giant counterparties like OpenAI or Meta, while operating at a far smaller cost. So this makes it a very interesting alternative, the one algorithm to rule them all. X, formerly Twitter, is working on letting users choose the algorithm for a customizable content feed. This would mean that whenever you use X, you can actually change or modify your algorithm so you have an influence over what content is shown for you. And Elon Musk, owner of X, is saying that his goal is to maximize unregretted user seconds on the platform with this change. Basically meaning that if you're spending time on the platform, you should be good about it. Which is difficult because there's too much negativity, in his own words, pushed on the platform. Still, initial reactions were mixed. While it's potentially a good thing for users to have more choice, there was just a lot of dissatisfaction with the feed in general. For instance, like not penalizing links so much, said Paul Graham, founder of Y Combinator, or in general, the look and feel of the feed itself. Well, I think there are 2 reasons why social media companies let you choose your own algorithm. One is obviously product differentiation, and we've seen that with Blue Sky now grabbing a lot of ex-refugees with their version that you can choose your own algorithm. But the second one, and more often overlooked, is legal protection. By letting users choose their own algorithm, the companies itself, they don't make any editorial decisions anymore. They didn't do that before as well, but there could be made a case against them in the future, because since their algorithm is picking content for them, they could be seen or deemed to have or act as an editorial capacity, which would make them liable for the content produced on their platform. So even though a user generated that content, someone like Meta, Instagram, etc. Would be liable for that content. So letting users choose their own algorithm is an easy way to shed that responsibility. Moving on. Why are millions abandoning corporate content for amateur videos? The creator economy grew 25% per year and reached $250 billion 2 years ago, making up 50% of the media market. So you're asking yourself, why amateur videos? Well, it's because consumers are redefining quality in media by embracing a more raw, user-generated content. So you sacrifice quality, but you're gaining authenticity. Corporate media still holds a lot of advantages in terms of like more resources and certainly better processes and, let's say, production quality. What I see is that the shift to user-generated content shows that a significant share of consumers, they're interested in this authentic content. They would rather see it from someone in the trenches, even if it's just a mediocre production value video like this one. But when they can feel that there's expertise involved and there's an interesting take, they're still preferring that over a highly polished corporate video that is playing off things that I already know. And what I would add though is that the top creators, they still have both. If you look at Mr. Beast, it's not just authentic content for someone who is really into YouTube, but it's also high production value. Next up, Meta leeching on TikTok ban. Meta's new app Edits aims to fill the gap left by CapCut, which was part of the TikTok ban. Edits aims to empower creators with advanced video editing tools, sparking opportunities, but also competition in the space. So given that the US banned ByteDance, which owned not just TikTok, but also CapCut, there is now an opportunity to fill the gap. And Meta historically has been able to fill these gaps pretty well. For instance, launching the Llama model as an open source model in competition with OpenAI. That being said, even if CapCut is going away, it's still no guaranteed success, given that in that space there's already a bunch of players like Captions that creators are using. So I think this move particularly benefits creators that are primarily on Instagram, since the tool will have deep integration with Instagram itself. Let's talk about fashion. Are you wearing Gucci or AI? Raspberry AI, a startup that uses AI for fashion design, raised 24 million in a Series A funded by VC legend Andreessen Horowitz. So what do they do? Raspberry AI offers instant design rendering and technical drawings. So if you have an idea of how a dress should look like, you can use the software to immediately get a sold or finished prototype that you can then put into productions. So through these 3D animations, instead of giving all of your ideas to a production facility, waiting for a sample and then see, for instance, how it shapes up, you now can see that at least a digital version of it right away. So overall, it will cut down design time by quite a bit. Critics though claim that given that we're already living in the world of fast fashion, tools like this could even further propel that trend. So yes, the critics are saying AI can't replace the human touch in design, so the designs will still require human in the loop and creativity. But I would say that better technology allows more people to be involved in the design space, people that were previously prevented from, bringing their ideas to fruition because it's just so difficult to produce a garment. Well, now with AI it isn't. Next one. Apple News pulls its own fake news. Apple AI summaries included widely false claims like Netanyahu's arrest or Luigi Mangione's suicide. Apple AI features for news summaries aim to streamline news consumption by doing these small little summarization, but given these high-profile mistakes, they pulled it immediately. And what this highlights is one of the key problems with AI is hallucinations. So while AI is trying to predict the right next word, it doesn't access a real database, so it has no knowledge of what is right or what is wrong, what is a fact and what is fake news. So these mistakes will happen, and specifically in diligent areas where facts matter, like news, where trust really builds a brand and is important for the product, AI just will find it really difficult to break through for some part of the workflow. So what I'm taking away from this is that AI can help with workflows within news or media organizations, but it's all about where you use it in the workflow. Maybe it's helping with research, drafts, but it doesn't have necessarily with fact-checking or headlines. So there's still a learning curve, I think, of how this technology is best used. And while Apple folded the project for now, they will come out with a second or an improved feature in the future. That's it for today. Like and subscribe, and I see you in the next one.